They leave behind legends of their violence and courage. It's a ship, a grave ship, buried as a tomb, and filled with the goods its owner would need in his voyage to the afterlife.
All the implements that one might need for life into eternity was put on the ship and then buried. And so it's all very well preserved.
Late in the 8th century, they burst from the frigid seas of the north to take the world by storm. For the next 300 years, they ravaged the civilized nations. Nothing can stop them. Not the oceans, not the dread of the unknown, not the rulers of Europe. They are the Vikings, and behind their barbaric legend lies an even more spectacular reality. Explorers, settlers, and traders, Vikings strike out across the sea in search of plunder and legitimate wealth. From the shores of North America to the markets of Baghdad, it is the late 700s in the uplands of Norway. At the dawn of the Viking Age, the family farm is the basic economic unit of Norse life. As farmers and herdsmen, they plant grains and vegetables during the short growing seasons, and they rely heavily on livestock. No single king or central government guides these people. Each Norse village acts independently. Each declares its own king. The Vikings band together on this bold mission, leaving women and children behind and taking to the seas. They're after plunder. So they arm themselves accordingly.
Here, Viking gods are mortal. They can be tricked and lose battles. Still, wisdom reigns supreme among the gods. Odin, chief deity and a god of war, exchanges an eye for knowledge. Thor rules over weather and sends thunder and lightning. Frey gives fertility to nature, men, and their lands. These gods are still present in our daily lives. Odin's day is Wednesday, Thor's day is Thursday, and Frey's day is Friday. In earlier times, the people living in today's Norway, Sweden, and Denmark were mostly known as traders. In the 8th century, this changed rapidly, thanks to a great technological advantage: Viking ships. All Viking ships had hulls made of thin, overlapping planks, nailed together and sealed with tar, producing strong yet light and flexible vessels. They were steered by a side rudder hanging on a steer board, the origin of the nautical term starboard. The ships were fast and symmetrical and could reverse their course readily. The longships had a shallow draft, meaning they could sail far up rivers and could be beached easily. Shipbuilding required a variety of skills. Large square sails were woven from linen or thin wool, later waterproofed with fat. On longships in particular, oars were used for precise maneuvers and in windless weather. The tales of huge longships carrying 200 warriors were long thought to be the exaggerations of storytellers. Then, in 1997, a longship measuring 120 feet and capable of carrying 180 men was unearthed in Roskilde, Denmark. The giant longships had indeed existed. These ships give Vikings a strong superiority at sea, and thousands of them head out in search of wealth, land, and glory. In 2 centuries, the Norse, Danes, and Swedes, or Rus as they are known in the East, are everywhere in Europe. They take over large areas of England and Scotland as well as Ireland, where they found Dublin. In France, the Northmen take over a region of France that becomes known as Normandy. Viking raids reach as far south as the Mediterranean. To the east, the Rus use rivers to reach the Middle East, creating a 1,000-mile trading network and founding their own kingdom in the east, Russia. The Vikings attack Constantinople, today's Istanbul, with fleets of hundreds of ships. Twice, the great city resists, but the Byzantine emperors are so impressed that they hire Viking warriors as an imperial guard.
Among the first victims of their raiding are the monks of Lindisfarne, along the coast of England in June 793, home to St. Cuthbert's Monastery. The monasteries along the coast particularly appeal to the Vikings because of their great accumulation of wealth and the passivity of the monks. One of the first major river attacks comes in 845 AD at the hands of a notorious Viking leader named Ragnar, a Dane. With a fleet of 120 ships, he seizes upon the legacy of Lindisfarne with a vengeance. His highway to battle, the Seine. His target, Paris. With the colonization of Greenland comes the story of two legendary Norwegian Vikings, Eric the Red and his son, Leif Erikson. In the late 900s, Eric leads an expedition here and becomes the first to settle this unforgiving land. During Eric the Red's leadership, a Norse agrarian society scratches a living in this Eric the Red's son, Leif Erikson. Like his father, he yearns to explore. In the year 1000, he sets sail. By following the rumors of an unknown land to the west, Leif Erikson discovers a new world. The Greenlanders' attempt to settle here fail. It's estimated the Newfoundland colony lasts only a decade. And yet, 500 years before Columbus would make his epic journey, Vikings link the eastern and western hemisphere. In 1047 AD, after years gaining power, Harald Hardrada becomes king of Norway. He rules the Vikings through sheer force. Harald's men are merciless as they lay waste to the farms and villages of those who oppose him. Their message is simple: submit or die.
Vikings sailed without maps or compasses. They relied on landmarks, the sun, the stars, the presence of seabirds, and the color of the water. Despite that, they often got lost. Sailors sometimes used ravens, mythical messengers of the Norse god Odin. Within 200 miles of land, a raven released into the sky would head towards it.